Hey guys, how is everybody doing? Welcome back with another video with Linksy. Whereas usually you have a replay, you have an epic fight, you have an epic campaign, today we have something different. It's a first impressions video. My first experience with this amazing game that I managed to get early access thanks to Total War, thanks to CA who gave me early access. I got this game around 5 days ago now. And I've been able to put a few hours into it. I've been able to experience it slightly. I am in no way in a position to give a full comprehensive review, but what I can give you is my experience with it, what I think is good, what I think should be improved on, and what perhaps should be changed. And before we go into that though, there are some of you who do not know what Total War is. Some of you have never even heard what Total War means. You think maybe of some war in history. And you wouldn't be too far from wrong. Total War is a game series that started off in historical context. You have the medieval period, you have the Japanese warring period, you have the Chinese warring states, one of their games, you have Roman period, you have all these amazing periods in history. And that is one aspect of the games. There's also the fantasy aspect where you have the Warhammer universe, which is just an absolutely beautiful gem of a game as well, and that is, if you watch my content, you should know by now how much I love that game. I love actually both sides, and oftentimes the fans of the series, the Total War series, split themselves into two groups. They split themselves in the group that is historical, and they say, oh, the fantasy and the monsters are just stupid. And then you have the fantasy group who are just like, oh yeah, this is so epic, I can ride a dragon on my hero will ride a dragon and breathe fire over everything. So Total War itself is a grand strategy game set in a specific universe, a specific time, as we just said. And you have the interaction with the grand campaign map, where you have resources, you have diplomacy, you have to build your cities and build your armies. The armies which you will use to fight in land battles, siege battles, and settlement battles. And this is just how the game works. It is incredibly absorbing, it is incredibly fun, and most of the time it just takes away so many hours of your day, because you just find yourself pressing one more turn, and all of a sudden it's 4 a.m. Now, coming back to Troy. Where does Troy fall in all of this? Where does Troy fall in these camps of history and fantasy? It falls in the mythological part. Now, for those who don't know, Troy is based in the Bronze Age period. Now, the Bronze Age period, without going too much into detail, there was the Bronze Age collapse, where history was pretty much wiped out for 100 years, which incidentally is around the time period that the city of Troy, the ruins of the city of Troy, were found. And no one knows what happens. We just have fragments. We have the story of Homer, the Iliad, the Odyssey. We have small relics, small artifacts that we found, that our archaeologists have found. If you want a really good analysis of this, I'll link a video in the description box below discussing it at length and just going into detail about what and what wasn't in the Bronze Age period. So what is Troy itself? Troy is a game set in this period. The developers have created an incredible artistic feat in terms of the visuals, in terms of the story, in terms of the mechanics, because they took what we know about the time period and they applied logic of the real world. So when people first heard they're going to be minotaurs, they didn't say, oh, how cool that would be. They're like, oh, minotaurs, but that's not real. But the way the game developers brought in minotaurs, they're just big guys with a big club who just go berserk, and they were a special, like, you know, they were a bull skull. That's amazing. That's really amazing, the way they've picked something and they've used it. I would place this game as a historical title simply because it is trying to figure out what the history of the time was. Now, as we say that, I want you to just start absorbing it. This is the screen, which you've been seeing playing in the background, and now just you can hear the music. First things first, sound. The sounds of this game are phenomenal. As we go on, you will hear small little details which are just absolutely incredible. And I think I've given enough of an introduction to the game and to the concept, and I think it's about time we start analyzing in detail different things as we go along. Please hang in there with me. This is going to be a long video, not too long hopefully, but we're going to try and cover as much as possible and give this game a fair and honest discussion that it deserves. And with that, we start by looking at the heroes. Now, what are heroes? The heroes are your generals. They're your faction leaders, and they are your army leaders. They're your commanders, they're your generals. There is a lot of controversy within the Total War community about having heroes as generals. It's just a name. They are not omnipotent beings. From the time I've played, I've really suffered when I tried to kill an entire army using one hero. The game itself, the gameplay we will discuss later on, and also I will be doing specific video discussing and analyzing the combat mechanics of the game and experimenting with it and trying to find different things. But when you start a campaign, when you click to start a campaign, you are faced with this menu. And this is an incredible menu, alright? First things first, small details, but these details are what make a game great from good. As you see, as I hover over the characters, they come to light. They are bronze statues, which again, the Bronze Age, it's being hammered into our brain. There's a lot of bronze colored stuff because it's the Bronze Age period. So I love the fact that aesthetically, the developers have actually brought this alive. And when you, for example, go over Odysseus, which we'll jump very soon and to check out, he comes to life. His characters come vibrant, and he looks as if he is a guy that you know down the street. I mean, if you have a guy down the street that is dressing up in old Greek mythological costumes, then perhaps he needs a little bit of help if this is how he dresses up every day. But what I mean is, it is a real living human being. It is a real relatable person. But when you see the statue, you see these colossal figures, this strength and this power that emanates from them, which is a good mixture, and I like. Now, you tell me, but Linksy, there are only 4? No, there are 8 campaigns, and 8 unique campaigns. Now, for those who play Total War, 8 campaigns is not that much. Sometimes we have had games where we had over 15, 20 different campaign starts. If you are coming from Warhammer, you have so many different campaign starts, so many different factions to start off with. But then if you go with someone coming from maybe Rome Total War 2, which is oftentimes the game that this is being compared with, you're like, but dude, Linksy, in Rome, you could start as the Romans, the Egyptians, the various Gallic tribes, various Celtic tribes, as the British, as the Carthaginians, as the Seleucids, the Persians. It's true. But what this game has that those don't is that this game, each and individual one of these lords starts with special abilities, with special quests. As you can see, if I was to click on Hector, he has Defend Sacred Troy. He has his own faction mechanics, which make him quite unique, so you have to play him in a specific manner. He has special units which the others do not get. He has a limit on certain playstyles. So for example, he does not get heroes, so lords, so I mean generals, with archers. He gets a lot of shield soldiers, but his missiles, they're lacking. Paris, on the other hand, his brother, is the other way around. He doesn't get warlords, which are the fighter generals, but then he gets a lot of different archers and lots of different skirmishing abilities, and it's just this complex thing. And then you have all of these, so you have Aeneas, you have Sarpedon, you have Achilles, Agamemnon, Odysseus, Menelaus, and I'll be going through these in the coming weeks, one by one, analyzing them, seeing how they play, seeing where they start, seeing what they play like, seeing what they feel like, and it's just something I really look forward to. But when you look at this, it gives you the idea that all of these different campaigns are so unique. And for now, I have sunk in 50 turns into 3 campaigns with Menelaus, Achilles, and Paris, and each campaign felt so different. Different playstyles, different diplomatic functions, and different actions that can be taken. Now, and the last few things that, you know, since we're here, we should go through is the victory conditions can be found in the bottom left over here, where you have the total war victory, which you basically have to destroy everything. And I really like there's over 100 different settlements, meaning that this is a large map. This is a really big map. And then you have the Homeric victory, where you have to do your epic quests, which are an amazing way to learn the game, as well as just give that little extra oomph to the game. And you have, you know, a couple of unique mechanics for like campaign objectives for each faction. Now, classic, and I like that still there, you have the easy, normal, hard, veteran, and legendary difficulties, and battle difficulty goes up to veteran. You have the options to change advisor help. There's a beautiful thing where time of day changes. You can fix it as you want, and you can stick it wherever you want. And you have also the battle settings, which regards to timers in battles, realism mode, etc. With that, I think it's just about time we go into a campaign. I'm gonna pick Odysseus because this is quite an interesting campaign where it starts. I haven't yet explored Odysseus that much, so it will be nice for us to explore it together. Starting right off the bat, seeing how the campaign plays, you are thrown into this world, lots of interactive things, lots of things popping out, beautiful scenery. I love how the map is just this little, again, the bronze element is being portrayed over and over again. You have the nice aesthetical mountains in the background, which is really cool. It looks like the vases, ancient Greek vases from this time period. And first things first, you're thrown in, what do? You have how they play, and you have the first mission, which is defeat the enemy, which you have here in the events message. Now, you have the events message, we're just gonna look at what we have piece by piece and go through it. You have your armies, your heroes, your agents, your lords, all there. Provinces, what you have, and the other provinces that you know of. And then you also have the diplomatic screen, no factions, which helps you understand who you're at war with, who likes you, who hates you, etc. And then the missions, which we're just talking about. You have the normal missions, you have the epic missions as well, which are simply a way to progress through the game while understanding it. You are under no obligation to follow these missions, you can do whatever you want. The game does not control you, you control the game. Now, that said, how does the game play? First things first, I think it's best if we just zoom out completely and see how big the map is, right? This map is huge, it's massive, it's incredibly big. And what I really like is there is possibility for growth. The Illyrian coast is a big thing. Over here, you can easily have, Italy is literally right here. The heel of Italy is right over on this side. So it's very easy to go there. It would be cool to see a DLC where Odysseus campaign is expanded and you see all of the Odyssey with him traveling to various areas of the world at the time and just experiencing different things. So that's something that I look forward to, and I hope that there will be growth in that aspect, and if there's enough interest, probably we will see more DLCs being placed for this game, or more than the ones that are already placed down. Now, with that said, the first things that you start in the campaign, at least for me, I go into a city and I see what I can build, what I have. So straight off the bat, it's quite interactive, very, very self-explanatory. You have on the left side, explains what the building does, explains the upgrades, explains where you can build, what you can build, and how much. So if we go to Italia, pronouncing that completely wrong, and go garrison details, you can see what you have, the overview, and then the building browser, which is really cool. And here you can see that you have a few variety of things. You have the main buildings, you have the ports, military, resources, administration, and temples. I don't think we should really explain everything that works in there in terms of it is very self-explanatory. Each faction has small alterations to this, especially between the Danes and the Trojans. The Trojans have a slightly different tech tree, which is understandable because they are a different, completely different faction in terms of this entire thing is Trojans versus the Greeks after all, and it's just really amazing. But as we're talking about this, the temples are something we should really look into because they are a really interesting aspect of this game, and they really fleshed out how the gods are interacted with, or rather how the cults are interacted with, because they create cults. With that, I think we should just simply hop on to a campaign which is I was streaming yesterday actually, a Menelaus campaign, and show you how the cults work. I think that would be best. And just off right off the bat, this campaign is one of my favorite ones till now. I'm really enjoying it. It's quite fun. And what I really am enjoying is the fact that you have these cults. So this is the tab up here, the Divine Will tab. And you have a variety of tabs, which we'll go through slowly. In this specific campaign, I'll show you the Divine Will and the Trading Diplomacy tab. So in the Divine Will, you have a variety of gods over here. You have Hera, Zeus, Ares, Apollo, Athena, Poseidon, and Aphrodite. And each one is someone that you can build temples to. The more temples, the more they're worshipped, and their cult grows. If you get a cult to level 3, you get all of their abilities. For example, with Zeus, you get Might of the Thunderbolt. If you're cult level 1, cult level 2, Father of Heroes, cult level 3, Regal Presence. And each one gives you that slight extra influence that really helps you, and that really helps, you know, your campaign. For example, there's the influence mechanic, which is the culture mechanic in other Total War games, which helps you keep your areas happy. You have the happiness mechanic, which is really fun to, you know, public order is now called happiness, so that's fantastic. So you have all of these things, and these gods will help you in each individual ways. Apart from that, you can do prayers. For example, next turn the prayer will take effect. I had just prayed to Zeus. I prayed that he'll give me extra diplomatic agreements except for barters. This means when I'm trying to trade for, trying to strike a diplomatic event with someone, like say a military alliance, it's easier because I get that little extra buff because my people are just happier or something. I don't know how it works, but it's really cool. The ritual costs a lot. It's 1,000 food, 50 gold, because it's a tier 3 ritual. Whereas smaller rituals, for example, for Ares, it gives you extra morale. No, it actually takes morale from the enemies. Apollo gives you more agent actions, movement, etc. Each one has their own abilities, and it's really quite fun to see. You can try to have more than one cult active, and that's really cool, but it's really difficult because it costs a lot of resources. And now the next thing we should talk about before going to the bartering system and the diplomacy system is resources. You have these 5 main resources. You have gold, which we're all very used to with Total War games. You have the bronze, you have the stone, you have wood, and you have food. Now, the main ones that we'll be using early game is food, wood, and stone. Mid game, you're going to use a little bit bronze, tiny bit of gold, apart from trading. And the game, you're going to be using bronze, gold, and food. Food is going to be a massive thing throughout the campaign. You're going to be hemorrhaging food, and especially if you have more than one army, 2-3 armies, you get supply lines, which makes your food really go down quick. So when you build an army, you either are levying troops quickly and for a quick campaign, and then you're taking them away. Your standing army, you're punished for having super large standing armies, which again makes absolute sense because these people are usually people who reg the fields, and if they're fighting, it's a really nice way they introduce the campaign mechanic. On this side, it's just different, various different effects. By the way, for who's asking, who's checking, that you have effects which are passive, effects which you get, and effects that, you know, for example, I expanded really fast, so I have everyone is a little bit worried about me, etc. And that really ties in with diplomacy as well. So in diplomacy, you have this really interactive screen. And as you can see, usually, if you guys know my Total War content, I am against any form of diplomatic relationships. I just go and fight. This one, you have to micromanage your diplomacy because it is so important. So first things first, okay? We have the diplomatic relations with various people. And let's say Troyzen, we're going to try and deal with them. We currently have a military access and non-aggression pact with them. And I think I also have... No, I do not have anything else. Don't think I can confederate them. Interesting. All right. There are various things. You have the barter agreement where you go in here and you start fixing. You say, I want to give you 10 food for 1 stone. And for 5 turns or for 100 turns, for 10 turns, whatever. And this is a trade that will happen, and you'll be trading resources along that time. This little thing here tells you if it's going to work or it's not, and why it's going to work and why it's not. If you don't have trustworthiness, it will go down. If you have trustworthiness, it will go up. Diplomatic prospects, etc. If you have buffs, whatever. It is a really cool way to understand how diplomacy works. Now this is over a few turns. There's also the single turn, and there's also the trade regions. You can trade regions. For example, I can give them one of my regions which they really want and where they have influence, and the same goes for them. If I was to go to someone else, or in this case I want to go to, I believe I'm very high in influence with the Cretans, and if I do trade regions, exactly, I could do so and ask for one of these regions, and they don't really want to give it to me because they don't see any reason why, and that's absolutely okay and 100% fine. I'll just take it by force then. But that's quickly on short how the trade and bartering system works. It's something that I will actually go in detail later on, especially when I'm live streaming it or when I'm doing videos on the game, because it's something that it should have a bit of analysis, and maybe, who knows, we'll find a way to cheese the game quite heavily. And I think I've covered everything with regards to bartering. Perhaps what we should cover now is the call to arms, the Spartan colonies, which are the functions for Menelaus, but perhaps even the Menelaus, which is quite really powerful abilities. Maybe we should switch to Achilles, who has really interesting and fun ones, which perhaps would highlight even further what I mean by how each campaign is different. Achilles, the champion. Achilles is quite an interesting guy. For example, as you see here, world event, he has his blood boiling and he has a mood swing. What does this mean? Well, mood swings is that he's hot-tempered, he's hot-blooded. So he has different mood swings and different abilities that happen. Each one of these mood swings gives you incredible bonuses, but ridiculous debuffs at the same time. So it will be really interesting to see how this works in the long term. I mean, minus 30% to all resources is incredible. But then casualty replenishment rate of all armies going up. So it's something that you have to work with, work around, and each one of them have their own campaign mechanics. But I think my favorite one till now has been Living Legend, where Achilles, if he's a Living Legend, gets incredible upkeep costs, reduction costs throughout his campaign. He is able to recruit a various number of units each time he gains the title Living Legend, and you gain a lot of influence to all of your provinces, helping you to expand really fast. The problem is you might have him get injured. By injured, his pride injured halfway through a military campaign. You're sieging a city, and when that happens, he kind of gets really pissy, and you have to deal with the fact that you got the bonuses from Living Legend gone, maybe even some debuffs. So I had to defeat all of these guys. Now, as you can see, defeated is a single combat, defeated and back down. There are different ways of defeating them. You can even defeat them in a battle. And once you defeat them and they're gone, you get 3 at a time, and when you deal with them, they're gone for a few turns, and then you have 3 more that show up that challenge for your place. I like that Achilles has these, and it's really quite fun. But when you look at the others, Menelaus, as we said, he has the Spartan colonies where he can settle wherever he wants. He has the Spartan recruitment, call to arms, where he has global recruitment. Paris has his hissy pissy Helen, who does, unless she's very close to him, she does incredible debuffs, but then she does massive buffs to the cities where she is at. She helps them massive growth really fast, like stabilizing with regards to happiness. So there are different things that you could do to balance that out. So it's a cool thing that you should really be looking forward to, actually, frankly speaking, to play, because it's something that the game adds, and it's not just, you know, this monotony. There are things that are hitting you, random events that are hitting you all the time, that you should be careful for. While we're at it, Achilles is leveled up, and it would be a good time to actually go through the different level ups that they have. Epic heroes, which are legendary heroes, which are your faction leaders, don't particularly die. When they die, they get injured and get sent away, and then they come back a few turns later. And each hero, not just the legendary heroes, get certain upgrades. Now, the legendary heroes, of course, get specific upgrades, but as you can see, there's a very big level of replayability. If you choose one thing, the other is cancelled. If you choose another one of those sub abilities, the other one is cancelled. And there's only so many levels you can get. And as you can see, I think the level is limited at 20. And once this fills up, you're done. That's it. You can't customize your hero any further. I've built him in a way that he is really good at buffing his troops. He has a lot of hit points. He can run around, and he just, you know, is this guy that supports his troops and inspire his troops. But you can build him as this armor sundering champion, this guy that rips through anything. I found it also really cool that in campaign you can arm them with different weapons, different trophies, and they give him or the hero in general, the general actually, a buff. And these buffs are minor, but they do help, and they are something that you should look forward to playing with. So in this case, let's say if I decide to have melee chariot, I won't be able to get Sunder armor, and he will be on a melee chariot from now on. Not on the campaign, but in the battle. Alright. And when we're done with that, I think maybe it's time to actually look in the battles and show you guys some of the replays that I saved, and maybe even highlight the siege battles and the land battle. Perhaps one of my favorite battles that I have fought till now is this one. This is an unfortified town. First things first, look at the complexity of this. Look how nice it looks, and the 3D-ness of the town. Like there's a ledge up here that you could, and multiplayer, potentially put missiles up there if you manage to break in through there, break in through these choke points and get into taking the square and then shooting your missiles into the last stand. Now, what I really want to highlight with this battle is the fact that I am outnumbered quite heavily. I think I only have half their number of troops, and my troops, even though I have some elite units, are mostly quite basic troops, which are quite weak. He has a lot of basic units, but numbers do count in this game, and I was kind of getting scared the fact that there's so many of them. So I deploy in this manner, and I think I'm going to fast forward it a bit so we get to see that. I want to show something though. You remember when you fast forward games especially in Rome, when you see me doing replays, it stutters? Look how smooth this is. It's a small detail, but guys, this for a YouTuber, oh boy, it works wonders. No, first things first, when he attacked me, before I start fanboying too much about this little mechanic, he starts attacking, so I decide to flank him with a kill box over here. I have another kill box over here. And at this point, I should also say that he was attacking me from the rear, sending some light troops, trying to run and hold them off for now. My bowmen, I noticed, were needed in the middle and to do some damage. My hero over here starts fighting, and at the moment he's in the middle of my men, but there is just a massive grind happening over here. My Pigeon Spears are quite decent, they have decent armor, but their morale and speed is going down because they're engaged and they're taking damage. So, as you can hear, by the way, the sounds of the battle, they're just really realistic. There's lots of clanging and clanging of metal. Slingers are shooting in from back here, and they're getting some decent damage done over there. On over here, I managed to rear charge his javelin throwers, and getting that rear charge is really important. Once, however, that you manage to surround the units, their morale crashes. And as you can see over here, for example, I did a little bit of a flanking move, and these guys got really low on morale and started breaking pretty much instantly, even though they outnumbered me quite heavily. And then shooting into the rear with javelins just kind of finished them off utterly. My general over here did manage to get himself caught in the middle of all of this stuff, and he's starting to take damage. This guy is really high armor piercing and high level compared to all of these troops, but he's still going down quite fast, and even though he's getting a few kills, he's not really doing that much damage. That's something that perhaps maybe people will want to see, since there's a lot of worry that this will be you know, a dual end all with those heroes. Now guys, quickly focus here. They still have morale, but the moment that I get these guys hit, all of these breaking, instantly routing. And this is such an amazing thing, that even though they outnumbered me, just a little bit of playing around with units and getting this surround, I've managed to completely break their morale. They dropped their weapons and started running, and they're taking damage. And as I was talking with a friend just now before recording this, back in the days, like these battles, like most of the losses to an army happened when people are running away. Very few people died actually fighting on the front lines. It's when an army broke. And this case, the army did quite break badly. And I think this is more than enough of the battle. It just ends up with me mopping up the rest of the troops, because after cleaning up this hero over here is what's left, and he has some javelin throwers which are very badly damaged. My swords over here have done their thing. They've held and slowed down the assault on this side, so I wasn't surrounded myself, while I'm just cleaning up the rest over on this side. Perhaps you guys might want to see the siege battle now, which is quite an interesting one, and it's something that I'm really excited to share with you all. So first things first, I want to just point out how amazingly beautiful the city is. Like, this game genuinely looks beautiful, and how smooth and fast it loads. This is on medium graphics, and I'll show you my graphic options later on. But damn, it's a really good looking game. Now, I'm fighting this settlement. Again, this is on hard difficulty. I have the advantage because I siege out the enemy force and I've damaged them with attrition. But I'm charging in and I'm going to try and take the walls. The first thing that I want to show is that units can cut ladders on over the walls. But the downside to putting ladders on the walls is that your units might fall and die as they're climbing. The walls themselves are indestructible. There is no siege equipment that breaks them down. Gates can be broken down by even X-Men, which is really cool mechanic, especially since these are just basically wood reinforced with just a bar over there. And it's quite nice to see that being able. But I still had my my siege equipment here. We have the battering ram. Sorry, I'm having a mind fart over there. Definitely, there's a lot to improve in my playstyle, but this is just to show you how the map is. Also, just keep in mind that if you are playing as a player and you lose the walls, you can always fall back. There are choke points all over the map, areas where you can fight, create kill boxes, and hold the line for as long as possible. Just fighting slowly till you're completely pushed back to the city center. So I'm definitely looking forward to incredible battles between various different actually, let's do it cinematic mode just to see how it looks over here. It's like ants running up the hill. Just saying, I really look forward to see the Battle of Troy between like 4v4 armies. Now, I use large unit sizes, and there's a BT amount of units on the battlefield, but there's Extreme, which is twice as much as what I have right now. So you're talking about 180 shielded spear units that will be present, 180 of these X-Men getting on the walls, and then the spears on the walls holding, the missiles wall holding. It's a really fun experience. It's something that I really enjoy in the game. The sieges are tough, they're not easy, and as honestly, like taking an opportunity to talk about the AI is very smart compared to previous Total War games, and it just actively tries to defend. It does leave something to be desired, yes, but frankly speaking, it's not the AI that we will be fighting most. When multiplayer comes out later on, we will definitely be enjoying these battles against each other. But I'm really enjoying the fact that the AI, once it notices that you have units behind its lines, tries to pull back, even though at this point I've killed most of the units because of my missiles and archers that are present. I think with that I've pretty much covered most of the basics that I could show, and I think it would be a good idea to now get into the options and the graphics and what the game offers in terms of customizability from that end. The options themselves are not that complicated. So but before going to the options, I think this is also the best time to discuss the optimization of this game. What do I mean by optimization? And by that I mean how smoothly it runs. I'm running it on decent graphical options, which I will open right now, and you have the advanced, and you can see what my settings are, and it's running exceptionally smoothly. I only have a 1060, I have only 6 gigabytes of video memory, but still the game is running quite on high settings. It's pretty much just high settings with just some minor changes, and I really appreciate that. I haven't found that many unit glitches or bugs where the units just move out of shape. Their armor is almost always properly on. There's very little clipping. They rarely clip through the ground. The pathing is just absolutely phenomenal, super smooth. The units are very like when you click a unit to go somewhere, it's very responsive, it starts moving. There's a lot of fluidity, and I really like that, and that's something that should really be applauded, because it's not easy to have 5,000 troops on the battlefield and being able to still make things quite smooth, being so fluid and so like interactive at the same time. Now, with regards to graphics options, I really enjoy this customizability. You can customize your color adjustment, your arrow trails, your resolution, your UI, but then you have anything you want. You have anti-aliasing, texture filtering, texture quality, shadow detail. You have different textures for different individual things where you can increase or decrease. You have so much possibility. I don't know why it's hide after it was 1 minute. There you go. Hide dead bodies after 1 minute, because again there can be too many dead bodies in the battlefield. But the thing I was talking about before, where you can have ultra extreme unit size, and that's something I look forward to see, because you know, small, medium, large, ultra's the usual ones. I like the added extreme because that just adds a little bit extra oomph to the game. It's also a nice touch that they have a benchmark, and that benchmark is always good because it helps you to be able to, you know, figure out if your computer can handle the thing. Myself, I run this on a laptop. I run it on a GP63 Leopard MSI laptop. It is a decent mid-range laptop, gaming laptop, but if you have something around that line, you're going to be really enjoying this game because it should be running very smoothly. You're not going to run it at maximum graphics, and I mean, you can go up quite high with regards to the settings. You have ultra, and sometimes you also have extreme options, which is really cool. I'm not going to put any changes in, and that's the graphical options. You also have the basic one where you just have the different ones, and the resolution scales are all there. This is the maximum I can get, but I'm sure it can go even higher. There's also the language option. They have a variety of different languages, something that's really nice, and it just opens the game to so many different people. You have the audio sliders, you have music, effects, speech, and master. They're all individual. You have different variety things, again, small things, but these things are really nice. You can put sound in the background, enable or disable, and that's cool. That's really nice. And then you have the controls, and this is something I really appreciate. You can keybind almost everything in the game to whatever you like. It's a small thing. This is not a micro heavy game. This is not StarCraft, but having the opportunity to do this just is so nice, and it helps to customize the game to how you like it and whatever you do. You also have these little things so you understand what to do. You can save different key sets, you can save different bindings, and that's really cool to have. You have camera types, movement speed, rotation speed, cinematic smoothing over there. Then the game settings themselves, again, small things, for example, default run, default guard mode, skirmish mode, alliance coloring, all this good stuff. You have colorblind mode, which is really nice. You know, it's very inclusive, and to leave it there, it's really cool. Just, you know, that's a tick for me, a point up, if you will. And then brightness and gamma. And I think with that, I've pretty covered most of what I wanted to cover with you guys. But now comes for my part, from my opinion of what the game is and what the game should feel like per se. And when I say it should feel like to you, it will be very different from me. The game feels amazing. It's, as I was saying, this is needs to be very clear. It's fun. It's optimized. It's interactive, it's complex, it has depth, it has feeling. This is a work of passion and love from the creators, from the developers, and it should be something that should be applauded, because people are comparing it to the standards that we had back in 2011 for Shogun 2, 2013 for Rome 2, 2015 for Attila, and they're comparing with these old games. But this is in 2020, so it's new, it's better. And I am so happy it's better. My argument always is I will compare it with the yardstick I compared the others. So I'll compare it with the same classifications that I compared the others and how I saw the others. And this one just works. It is fun. There's a lot that needs to be added. Absolutely. Yes, there are things that needs to be added. There are DLCs that should be added. There are more factions that are needed. But we already know the Amazons are coming in. We already know there's going to be a whole new group of heroes and a whole new area to start off in. They're already in the game. They're a nightmare to play against. But the fact that they're already coming in fact, you can see it. If you subscribe to Total War Access, you're going to get it for free as well. And when I say as well, I mean the game is coming out tomorrow. It's coming tomorrow, 2 p.m. British Standard Time, August the 13th. If you guys see it after, it's up to 24 hours for free for anyone who wants it. And I really should just point out, you should grab it. It's for free. If it's just the game as it is right now, if it's what mechanics it has right now, just grab it. You're not going to lose anything. You're going to have fun. You're guaranteed like at least 50 to 100 hours of good fun from this game, if not more. And I can see myself playing more than that, because this game has that much level of complexity. I haven't even gotten in the mid game of the campaign. I'm not even the end game. I don't even know what's gonna happen. there are events that happen, there are things that happen, and I really want to see them. This is why I cannot call this a review, but rather a first impressions and a first experience with the game. It's you know, it's that little flirty wink that you get, and damn, I like it. This game has seduced me. I think that's the best way to say it. So, is there stuff that can be improved? Hell yes. Always, 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 and always. Are there bugs in the game? I'm pretty sure there are. I haven't encountered many myself, but I'm very sure there are. It's a Total War game. There are always going to be bugs. That's why we love Total War games. Is it worth playing? Yes. You don't need me to tell you that. If you don't like the video till now, if you're still watching but you didn't like anything, then no, you're not going to enjoy it, because I tried to highlight the good parts of it and the bad parts, and I tried to highlight everything and just give my opinion as I'm going along. If you didn't enjoy that, then okay, it's not your cup of tea. But if you enjoyed that, then yes, just go ahead, grab it and play it. It's new, it's interactive, the attention to detail, the optimization, make it worth it. And without dragging this on too long, because I've already been yapping on for God knows how long, and I would say thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you do, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment, tell me what you think, join my Discord and just bombard me with your messages. I want to have a discussion about this game, and when you get it and play it, please just let me know what you think of it, because this has definitely been just one of the most fun launches that I've had. Really big thank you goes to CA as well for allowing me early access to the game. I'm a small YouTuber, I have 500 subscribers, but guys, I really want to tell you thank you, because it was one of my bucket list things to do, to be able to get an early access game, being able to write a review, and you guys helped me do it. Hopefully I keep doing it, and it's, at least for this foreseeable future, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep playing and sharing these games with you. But till then, I bid you farewell, take care, and stay safe out there, guys. Bye bye.